Hey, what's going on YouTube? You already know who it is. It is Dubloh, and I am back with another video for y'all. And today, Hellblade Senua Saga has dropped today, and we are gonna be checking out the review from Gameranx, the before you buy, just checking out, seeing how people feel about it. As for the most part, you got people that either love the game or they fucking hate it. Based off my experience with the first game, it's okay as long as you interested in the story. Like, it's legit a game that's supposed to invest you in the story. It's a movie game. The combat is all right. It's the difficulty not that hard and shit like that. It's cool. It's whatever. 5 to 8 hour game that can be completed within one full off day. So with all that out the way, let's get straight into the video.
Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Senua Saga Hellblade II. This is the follow-up to Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice from 2017. That was
Damn, first Hellblade came out in 2017. I thought it was 2018. Oh my god, that is a 7-year-old game.
way back.
God damn. And honestly, when I was playing it, it looked pretty decent still.
And then and now I was a big fan. I've been waiting for this follow-up.
And this one looking way better.
So let's talk about it. So, we've been playing a review copy, and this footage has been captured on Xbox Series X. The game is also on Steam, and this video is as...
This game looked fucking amazing.
There's stuff in here, you can't really avoid it in a narrative game, but I don't spoil big story beats or show like the last half of the game or anything like that. So to cut right to the chase, so nobody misinterprets anything, I like this game, but I didn't really love it anywhere near as much as I enjoyed the original. Even though the original...
Okay, quick little tidbit on that. So basically, it's all right. It's a good game, but narrative-wise and gameplay-wise, it's cool, but when it came to, if you compare it to the original, it's still not better than that one.
Did have flaws, it felt like a full meal. Hellblade 2 has some incredible moments, some cool action, and obviously great visuals, but I found it a bit unfulfilling from a narrative and gameplay standpoint. It doesn't build on the gameplay much from the original, which, fine. I don't need a sequel to become something it shouldn't be, but some combat and puzzle stuff actually feels like a step backwards.
And that's kind of ass though. When you got a sequel, you're supposed to expand on the gameplay at least just a tad bit, the puzzles and the gameplay a little more. The very first game, you had 3 different attack patterns. You had the light, heavy, and then you had the melee attack for people with shields and shit like that. You had the little focus mechanic for some of the visible enemies that you had to use the focus on. Fucking puzzles were legit just R2 or the right trigger on the Xbox to focus in and line everything up, and then after that it was okay, we're good. It was boring as shit. I feel like if you weren't really intrigued on the story, it hindered the whole experience for you. So Hellblade is for sure one of those games that you're gonna rather hate or love.
For 2 types of people. Number 1, if you didn't like the first,
that's decent as fuck right there though.
If you dismissed it as a walking simulator, well, yep, there's actually more walking in this one. Like me, and you like the original game, flaws and all, I still think you should give this one a shot at some point. It was nice just to be back in the character's shoes, and they didn't really skip a beat here. And the story stuff is extremely subjective. I'll talk about that more later on. It might hit you harder than it hit me, but yeah. So,
okay, so the story didn't hit as hard as the first one.
Some slavers come upon Senua's home, and she sets out to find them at the source and stop it, right the wrongs, leading her to a big adventure in Iceland. She's still living with psychosis, voices in her head that serve as everything: encouragement, doubt, reactions, and some storytelling stuff. It's a much more social affair than the previous game. You're still fighting off like horrifying creatures of the mind, but also men. Along with that, this means that there are more active characters in the story. The original Hellblade was
fighting off men. What that's supposed to mean?
But this one introduces characters that come along the adventure. I was a little worried, but it pretty much works. Thankfully the game does a good job blurring the lines between what is real and what isn't, while other actual people are walking around with their own story beats and arcs, without spoiling anything.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, that is a plus in my opinion, because the entire time after the very first like 1 to 2 missions, I was wondering like, what the fuck is actually happening in the game? Like, is she actually like fighting people? Like, what the fuck is actually going on? Is she actually in hell, or is this shit still all in her head, or what's going on? You feel me? And I always wondered that. Like, what the fuck is the whole point of all this weird shit going on? I understand that her vision is fucked up, but I'm trying to figure out is she's actually fighting people in the world, or is she not?
Some of it is very good. And what helps is that now you're not just looking at this beautifully rendered and artfully portrayed and acted
I ain't gonna
scene.
lie.
You have
That
other
motherfucking
as well, and it
Unreal
really
Engine
shows
5 hit
because the game
different.
just gets
That shit looks so damn good.
understand the performance. They understand translating a performance to the game. They've been doing it forever. They've been doing it even before Hellblade, and they're still really crushing it and pushing this forward. And the game feels extremely similar to the last game in some aspects. You know, the eerie but great 3D audio, the presentation, the atmosphere, like I said, the performance of the lead actress, and also playing the game. You're walking around, you're listening to the voices in your head, you're pressing forward, and occasionally solving puzzles or engaging in combat. I thought the puzzles in the last game started to get
Okay, so she actually fighting real people.
what they did here is seemingly cut back on them. You're still identifying shapes in the environment to open up a blocked area, but it's only occasionally. And the visual puzzles are just much easier this time around. There's also a new spin on puzzles involving like changing the environment, and these are also painfully easy. A lot of it just makes you feel less involved than last time around, which
I felt like with they puzzles, they should have put a little more thought into them, especially in this one. This is supposed to be a bigger Xbox project, so I don't know why y'all didn't want to expand on at least something, especially y'all puzzles, which is the main thing that gets you from point A to point B, which is one of your main aspects in the game. It's like, okay, the combat, you want to keep that simple, that's fine, but at least make your puzzles a little more engaging and intriguing.
I consider a step backwards. Again, I didn't need Hellblade 2 to turn into an RPG or an open world game. I want them to make
Exactly.
but I want to be engaged as a player. And there are long sequences here where you're just pushing up on the joystick to continue a long cutscene of Senua just like crawling or climbing without
I fucking hate that about the first one.
significant.
I legit held
And then when you finally get to
I legit held the
most of the time,
forward and left bumper.
and I found that to be a disappointment. On the combat front, things feel similar, but also different. So let me explain. Combat is still very simple and deliberate, all about timing dodges, blocks, parries, and basic strikes with a special focus ability thing to slow down time and save you in a pinch. That is almost exactly all the same here, but there are some improvements. Some cool enemy types are really fun to square up against, and some dudes will throw things at you, making for like cool dodge moments, or smacking it away with your sword like Aragorn in the Fellowship during that one part. A big change though is that enemy encounters are all one-on-one. Like you square up against like one enemy at a time, not struggling to deal with multiple and enemies hitting you in the back.
That's cool. That's whatever.
Window is shorter, and enemy strike timings are a bit harder to read, so it can actually be a bit challenging.
I made it a tad bit more difficult.
Only died a few times during my playthrough because the game is generous, but it still just felt like a tougher, desperate struggle. Having just replayed the previous game, I had a hard time getting the timings down this time around. I whiffed parry timings consistently through almost the entire game, and I just couldn't get the feeling quite right. I know I'm not the best at video games. I will always be the first to admit that, but I don't know. In the original game, it was far too easy, and then here, some of it just feels a little inconsistent. Still, with that, every encounter was fun. There's more quality over quantity here. Finishers are brutal and unique. A lot of the encounters felt really unique and not just rinse and repeat.
Okay, so that's why they made it one person by themselves, because they wanted to go crazy with the finisher. So after you're done fighting somebody, you'll fucking finish them off and shit like that. It's cool. It's whatever. I can see why they did it.
Which is a really nice upgrade from the original game. The only thing that got a little predictable feeling was the game transitioning you from fighting one character and then another right after. So like you'll kill an enemy with a finisher and then it happens every time. Like an enemy is gonna grab you from behind, spin you around, and then you fight them next. The situation is a little different and they do get creative with it, but like you always see it coming. Regardless, I still think the fights are cool. And there's one or two scenes in particular that are extremely memorable.
I ain't gonna lie, this shit cinematic as fuck though.
But also just the motion capture, choreography, and movement, character models, and scene transitioning going on. Like
Hella.
craftsmanship here, even if you're vaguely interested in how video games are made, is really, really impressive, man. And yeah, the visuals on display here are nothing short of incredible. Even at 30 frames per second on the console version, I was totally blown away by how good it looked. From the landscapes of Iceland,
This shit looks fucking amazing.
on the characters' faces, the detail is impressive. From like the griminess to the feel of the enemies you square up against. You know, fight moments are more interesting because it looks like a real tall, imposing person or monster man is like actually standing in front of you. The lighting, all of that is just working wonders here. Blood and mud flies, swords flash and clash, and I couldn't help but take advantage of a solid photo mode that you can bring up instantly at any point. It was actually a big part of the fun I had with this game. Like to the
So most people is having more fun with the goddamn photo mode than the actual game. That's hilarious.
For the game, like I had to edit around the amount of times mid-battle.
That's what he was talking about. The fucking transitions into the next fight. So after he did his execution on him, the other dude came in like, oh yeah, hey, I'm here too. Get ready to fight me. That's hilarious.
Finishing move, I would just whip out the camera mode.
That's cool. They do a little different shit now.
It's cool. If you like that stuff, you're gonna really love it here.
Fucking enemy design is nice.
Like I said, has some really big moments that make up for some of the slower, more tedious feeling ones from a gameplay perspective. The memorable moments here are worth the journey, in my opinion. The only problem is that just as things really start to get interesting and pick up, the game ends. In terms of criticism,
Again,
compliment. Like I wanted more. But for me here, like it just felt cut a bit short. Without spoiling anything, there is a resolution, but it felt like it came up very quickly. And I really used another hour or so.
the fucking visuals on this game. God damn, this shit looks fucking amazing.
5.5, 6 hours, and actually felt shorter. Like the journey didn't feel as massive as the original game. And even that game was brief.
See, 5.5 hours. That's crazy. Because the first one was 8.
It felt short because I was unfulfilled by the end. Now, this part is extremely subjective. Everybody's going to respond to a story differently. Look at The Last of Us Part 2. But like here, I just didn't take away as much from the story as I did with the previous game, which is ultimately why I was such a fan of that one. Like this game feels like a middle chapter of sorts, which can be fine, but one that is painfully cut short. I wanted to get to know the characters a little bit more that they spent so much time introducing. And I honestly wanted more time with Senua because all these other characters got some time in the sun. It's not often that I get to the end credits and I go, oh, wait, that's it? And that happened here. And I can't deny that feeling. It wasn't like an abrupt surprise ending or anything like that. It just like ramped up and ended real quick. I like what Senua learned and accomplished, but it didn't feel as earned as it could have. It's hard to go into that more without spoiling anything, so yeah. When you finish the game, you can actually replay the game with a different narrator. One of the other key characters in the game, like you can select and have them do narrative voiceover with their own perspectives on the story.
Oh, that's solid.
Head, of course, like the normal game goes on, but getting some extra bits here and there narratively from other characters does seem valuable. I finished the game and then I loaded this up just to see how it works in the intro, and I do really like it. I really want to do another playthrough anyway, just to like really absorb the story for what it is. But with that, it's worth noting that the game does have chapter select when you finish, and you can do the narrator thing by selecting chapters as well. Other than the same style of lore collectibles that was in the previous game, and there's not as many of them here, that's really about it in this package. So again, I think if you're a fan of the original Hellblade, there is enough to like here, and I still think you should see it through, even though I had my complaints. It's short, so you don't have too much to lose, at least in terms of time spent. I really liked getting back into the Hellblade world and feel, and there are some moments I'm gonna remember for a long time here. But I just really wanted a little bit more. I know what kind of games they make. I know it was going to be short, but I didn't expect it to quite feel like this. But hey, that's a before you buy. You know how this goes. By now I give you some pros, some cons, and some long, rambling personal opinions. So now I want to hear yours. This review is going live the day that the game has dropped, so chances are...
That's gonna be it. Y'all make sure y'all fuck with Gameranx. Key takeaways from this goddamn key takeaways. This is fucking Hellblade 1, but a little more dumbed down and with better visuals. They nerfed the amount of encounters at once. Now we fight one person at a time instead of fucking 3, 4, 5, and 6. Fucking parry window is a little more inconsistent. The story is even more garbage. The goddamn puzzles in the game are more brain dead than the last game. So I feel like this is gonna be something that I feel like a lot of y'all should skip on if y'all do not have Game Pass. Yeah, I made it this far. I just want to thank you for fucking with me. Make sure that you go ahead and leave a like, hit that subscribe button because I do have more content on the way. Hit that bell so you never miss another video. Here is your second reminder to leave a like. My name is Dubloh and I am out.
Hold on, baby, hit the pug on, do you dance on it? Bust it down, baby, let me see, spread them legs, let me see what you got. Do your job, I got a check for you. Throw a couple bands, put in work, I got some more for you. Slow it down for me, drop it down, go get wild for me, smile for me, bend it over, go on, touch your toes for me. Pause for me, get the can, baby, do a show for me. All money, if you clean and good, I got a note for you.